Hi there, my name is Janelle and welcome to Skaha Flow Yoga. Today we're going to do a basic yoga class to go over some of the fundamentals of yoga that I believe will help you to go into an all levels yoga session and feel confident making the postures work for your unique body. So today we're going to talk a lot about the breath. We're going to talk about options that we have within the postures to make it feel good for us. And we're also going to talk about props that can help us potentially ease into some of the postures. So just quickly, I've got a yoga block here today. Feel free to grab whatever you have at home if you don't have a block that kind of resembles this. Maybe it's a kid's toy or a book or a pot that you could stick upside down, or whatever you think you have that could help kind of work a bit. I often have a blanket in my yoga practice. I'll sit on it to help elevate my hips, to give me a little bit more space. I'll use it as a cushioning under my knees sometimes. So that's a great tool to have laying around. And then I also have a bolster, which is just a fancy word for a fat pillow. So feel free to grab any pillow you have. It'll work great if you don't have a bolster. And today we're going to get started standing, okay? So for any of us that might struggle with balance, feel free and please do grab a chair to have beside you. It's a wonderful tool to have if you just need something to hold on to or just rest your fingertips on. That might be all you need for that bit of comfort, but it is a super helpful tool for some of our standing poses. You can also sit in the chair if you need a little bit of a break for whatever reason, but still are able to continue doing a lot of the postures from a chair. So grab that if you feel like you need it for this first standing part. So come to the top of your yoga mat and we're going to stand in mountain pose. Having our feet kind of hip distance apart underneath us, really grounding evenly through all parts of our feet. We're going to take a big breath in. And as you exhale, just try and melt into your mat there, melt into your feet, feel grounded. Take another inhale, really fill up your lungs all the way to the top. Hold that breath there. And then exhale with an open mouth. And inhale, feel that lengthening through your body, up through the crown of your head. And exhale and feel relaxed in your shoulders. And inhale, feel your rib cage spread out to the sides. And exhale. One more inhale. And let it go. On your next inhale, let's sweep our arms up over top. And if you can touch your palms together. And as you exhale, bring those hands down to in front of your chest. And inhale, sweep those arms up. Your hands might only come to here if that's where your shoulders feel good. That's great. And as we exhale, bring those hands down. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. And maybe your hands come to here. And as we exhale, bring those hands together. Let's inhale and sweep up to whatever feels comfortable for you. Okay, we're going to stay here for just a minute. So staying tall and lengthened through the sides of our bodies. Grounded in our feet again. Okay, let's take that breath in. As we exhale, let's come down to the right side. So as we come down to the right, we want to make sure we're still lifting through our body and having that energy come out of the crown of our head and then grounding into our left foot. So we're getting a beautiful stretch down the left side of our body. If that's too much for your shoulders, feel free to bring your hands down into heart center or just open them up. Okay, let's come up top, take an inhale. And then other side, come down to the left. So pressing into our right side, pressing into our right foot, stretching up through those right fingertips. Keeping our chest open to the front. And we'll come up tall. Let's take an inhale. And as we exhale, just slightly lift your gaze up, opening up your chest. If you're comfortable with it, you can slightly bring your arms back behind you. And inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to come down into a first forward fold. So as we do our forward fold, I'll just turn to the side here. You may only come to here, which is beautiful. Okay, I know sometimes we see people drop all the way to the ground, and that's great too, but it's more important that we stay lengthened through our spine, lengthened through the crown of our head, and the minute we feel our body start to change shape to try and get a little bit further, we know we've gone too far. It's more important to keep the value and the quality of our asana, of our posture, than it is just to gain that little bit of extra stretch. So let's take a breath here. Feel your lungs expand. And as you exhale, try and let some of that tension go. We've got our weight just slightly to the front, but still grounded through our whole foot. We want to make sure we're not sitting back into our heels and letting our hips go behind us too much. We want to stay nice and centered and grounded on our feet. Let's take one more inhale. And as you exhale, just soften into that fold. And then inhale, we're going to sweep up. So sweep those arms up nice and high. And then exhale, bring those hands to center. Now from here, if we're at the front of our mat still, I want you to bring your weight into your left foot. So we're going to kind of lift our right foot up, feeling like we're just dangling on our toes there a little bit. So I want you to feel really strong through that left side. So feel like you're elevating up through that, staying tall, staying strong. Okay? Just take a breath in here. And as we exhale, we're going to step back with that right foot. So whether that means stepping back to here, whatever feels comfortable for your body. And we're going to come into just a nice high lunge. So we want to stay grounded in that front foot, lift it onto our back toes, kind of elevated with that heel, but strong through our legs. So we're really pressing through the mounds of those toe mounds. Okay? Still feeling open through our chest. So we've been pressing our hands nice and strong together, working those muscles in our shoulders, in our chest. If you'd like, you can stretch your arms up with an inhale, really reaching through the fingertips, lengthening through the body. And as you exhale, sink into that knee a little bit, sink into those hips. Take a breath in, opening up the chest, and exhale. Good, one more big breath. Feel those ribs expand. Now this time as we exhale, we're going to open up into Warrior Two. So as we open up into Warrior Two, we're going to open our back foot so our toes are opening up to the side as we plant that foot down onto our mat. Okay, and then we're opening up our arms as well, lengthening them along our mat. So stretching our left fingers forward, our right fingers towards the back. Our left knee is in line with our foot, so we're not letting our knee come into the side or leaning out to the side. It's right in line, right over top. Okay, let's take a breath in. Feel that length in your body. And then as you exhale, You can sink down a little bit into your hips. Find that comfort. Again, if it feels too much on your shoulders, feel free to every time bring those hands into heart center. And even here, you press your palms together. You feel your arms light up. Take a couple nice breaths. And let's flip our front palm, so our palm is facing the ceiling. Take an inhale, and as we exhale, we're just going to tilt our body slightly up, lifting that palm towards the ceiling and dropping our right hand down towards our leg. So we're not pressing on that leg at all. It's just nice and gently resting. And we're lifting up through that left arm. So take a breath and exhale. One more. And as we exhale, let's come back into Warrior Two. We're going to get ourselves down to the mat now. So feel free to spin that back foot back onto the toe. If you need your balance help, hopefully your chair is right there. You can grab hold of it. So now we've got our hips facing forward, and we're going to bring our hands down to the inside of our foot as we drop our back knee as well. Okay, so we're getting ourselves down towards our mat. Now here's where if you want to add in some cushioning for your back knee, feel free to grab your blanket and just lift it underneath your kneecap. And that can feel so much better for a lot of us. And also, I'm going to take a block and put it where I have my hands, so it gives my hips a little bit more space. And you can come and use any height on your block or your kid's toy block or your piece of wood that you want, just to give yourself that little bit of space. Okay? So once you've found what works for you, we're going to take a breath. We're going to press on that block or your mat, and we're going to lift our chest up, sing long through our neck. And as we exhale, we're going to sink forward into that hip joint a little bit. Whatever feels good for you. We're going to stretch out our front right hip. Really just trying to find the length there in those muscles. Just take a breath and exhale. Another breath in. And this time as we exhale, I want you to slightly press your hips towards the back of your mat. Okay, so we're going to, by doing so, we're getting a nice gentle stretch down the back of our left leg. We don't want our hips to come out to the side, so we want to make sure that we're pulling them back evenly as they come towards the back. If you need a bit more space, you can feel free to put your hands on either side of that leg and tilt those hips. Again, nice and even, but towards the back of the mat. Okay. Take a breath. And exhale. And now let's inhale, and we're going to come forward again, pressing into that front hip. And then as we exhale, press that hip back, getting a little bit of a mini flow happening here. And then one more time, inhale, come forward. And exhale, pressing back. Good. Now we're going to come onto all fours. So you can kind of bring your hands out to the side and sweep that leg around the back. Okay, move our block over to the side. Okay, and with our hands out in front, I'm going to have them come slightly in front of our shoulders so you can sit back into a bit of a child's pose. Now for some of us, we might only come to here. That's great. For some of us, we might sink down a little further. That's great. Whatever feels right for your body. You're also welcome to open up your knees to the side and sink those hips back, so that gives you a little bit more space with your body. Let's take a breath here. And just feel that sinking down. And then on your next inhale, we're going to come forward into a bit of a half plank. Okay? So our body is flattened out. Our hands are right underneath our shoulders. Okay? So you want to make sure we're rooting through our hands. We're pressing into all of our fingertips and into the palm of our hand as well. Okay? So this is sort of firing up our core, waking up our core, building up that fire in our body a little bit. Now we're going to do a Chaturanga, and we're going to lower ourselves all the way down to the mat. So I'll show you first, just from here, nice and controlled, we're going to bring our chest all the way down to the ground. Now for whatever reason, if that hurts on your shoulders, which it did for me not so long ago, if you need to just come down and work your way down to the mat however feels good, that is a beautiful thing, okay? So whatever feels good for you. Feel free to move your cushions if you need to from time to time. So now we should all end up in this position here. So flat on our bellies, lengthening through the toes. Okay, let's engage our leg muscles, so really firing those up. Let's take a breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to lift up with our chest. Not pressing too much through our hands. And just lifting up nice and gently, firing up those back muscles. Let's take a breath in here. And as we exhale, let our chest come back down to the ground. Let's do that one more time. Breath in. And as we open up, exhale. Take another breath up top here. Feeling yourself pull through and lengthening through the crown of your head. And then exhale, come on down. Okay. Let's light up our hands, light up our arms. And we're going to push through our hands and lift ourselves back up into our plank position. Bringing our hips back so we're on all fours. We're going to go into our downward facing dog. So let's tuck our toes behind us. We're going to press into our hands nice and strong. And we're slowly going to peel our knees off the mat, digging into our toes, lighting up our core, and pressing our hips up towards the ceiling. Now, feel free to keep your heels up off of the ground. Keep your knees nice and bent. And we're trying to press into our hands here. And we'll lengthen out our neck. And as you're slowly working into this posture, this can feel very challenging. So we're really trying to lengthen out our back and lifting our hips are the focus. Don't worry too much about stretching out your knees or your heels. Just really think about lengthening the spine. And now from here, we're going to walk our feet up towards our hands a little bit. So slowly by slowly, we're going to get, and if you get to a point where you're kind of stuck, feel free to walk your hands to meet your feet. And we'll slowly come into our forward fold position. Let's take a breath here. Lengthen out the spine. Exhale, fold over. With your next inhale, we're going to sweep those hands all the way up into our mountain pose, standing tall. And exhale, hands come down to center. Let's move our feet to the top of our mat if we're not there already. Let's take a breath in, sweep those hands up. Exhale, bring them down to center. Let's bring our weight onto our right foot. Getting nice and strong on that right leg, elevating those toes slightly. Feel free to hold onto your chair if you're needing that balance assistance. Okay, so once you feel like you're strong and tall, you've got your whole core really nice and strong. And then we're gonna take that step back with our left foot. And depending on how far we feel comfortable with our body, we're staying nice and lengthened through our body, staying tall through our upper body, and then sinking down into that knee, coming into a high lunge. With our knee over top, lined up with our foot, we can take a breath in and stretch our arms up if that feels good in our shoulders. And exhale. Feeling that strength in our back leg. Pressing strong through the pads of your back toe, back foot. And then rooting into that front foot nice and solid. Let's take a breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to open ourselves up into our warrior two on the other side. So opening those toes in the back to face the edge of your mat and opening your arms up, lengthening them across your mat, stretching through those fingertips. And then as you take a breath in, thinking about being tall through the body, and as you exhale, sinking into those hips a little bit, making sure that our front knee is still lined up with our toe. Flip our front palm, take a breath in. And as you exhale, we'll stretch up, lengthen through those fingertips as we reach down with our left arm. Take a breath here, feel that rib cage, and exhale. And then hands come back down into warrior two. Now we're going to get down on the mat again. Okay, so we'll pivot a little bit on that back heel. We'll bring our hands to the inside of our right foot as we drop our left knee down behind us. So again, if you feel like grabbing your mat, or a blanket, putting it underneath your knees there, and feel free to grab your block and place it where your hands are. Okay, so once you feel comfortable and centered and yet still feeling your edge a little bit, let's take a breath in, lengthen up through the neck, lifting the chest up, sinking into that hip. And then as we exhale, we're going to press back with our hips. And inhale, come forward, lifting that chest. And exhale, sinking back. And one more time, lifting forward, opening up the throat. And exhale, press those hips behind. Okay, so let's come forward and plant our hands just out to the side. Scooch that right leg behind us. So now we're on both knees. Okay, press those hands out in front nice and strong, and then come into our little plank position with our shoulders right over top of our wrists. So we're feeling nice and strong right over top of our wrist there. Strong through our hands. Our fingertips are engaged. Palms of our hands are engaged. We kind of feel like we're trying to grab our mat with our hands a little bit. And then if it feels okay with your shoulders, take a breath in. And then lower our chest all the way down to the mat. Okay, you can feel free to move your blanket if you'd like so it's out of the way. Just take a breath in. Lengthen through the legs, strengthen up those muscles. And as you exhale, lift up into your cobra. Really focusing on using those back muscles, long through the spine, right through the crown of the head. One more breath in up here, and exhale, let it go. Okay, so let's light up those hands, light up those arms, take a breath. And as you exhale, press up into your plank. We're going to come into our seated position. Okay, so coming over onto our seat, feel free to grab whatever you'd like or nothing at all to make this a nice comfortable position for you. So if you want to elevate your hips, you can grab a cushion, a bolster, a blanket, And feel that elevation, so you just have that little bit more space. And we have a couple postures left. Our first one we're gonna do is just lengthening out our legs in front of us. So if you're on a bolster, we have a bit more space underneath, which is nice. Feel free to have your knees a little bent here, or if you have this space in your back body, you can lengthen out those legs. Now we're gonna be sitting tall through the top half of our body. Take that breath in. And as we exhale, we're gonna hinge at our hips. We're gonna come up and over top of those legs. So feeling like we're lifting our chest towards our feet. Now we don't wanna curl our shoulders or our spine too much. We wanna really try and keep the length happening. And as we exhale, we try and soften into those muscles. And as we breathe in, kind of point that positive energy into those muscles you're feeling that are really working hard. And then as you exhale, let it go. Let's do a couple more breaths here. Then we'll slowly release. And we're going to bring our feet together into a butterfly position. Okay, so we've got our bottoms of our feet touching here. We can have our feet pretty close like this, or if it feels better for you to have them a little more spaced out, feel free. Okay, so find a position that feels right. Take that breath, think about coming tall, and as we exhale, we either just stay here and rock that feeling, or if we have the room, we're gonna come forward over top of those legs. Getting that juicy stretch on the inside of our legs. Just really trying to connect our breath with our body and our mind. It is the pathway that brings the two together, and it is so powerful and beautiful. And it's available to us. It's a tool that we take for granted so often, but we shouldn't. We should take advantage of our breath and use it to lengthen and stretch our body and our minds. And we'll slowly come up out of that position. Now let's come down onto our seat if you are on something. We'll get that out of the way. And come along onto your mat. We're going to sit just slightly back in our hips. So kind of coming a little bit back onto our sit bones. Okay, so we can lean back and just having our toes touch the mat there. Feel free to bring your arms here or hold on to the backs of your legs. And just try and engage those core muscles a little bit. So one last time before we get nice and cozy laying down on our mat. So just try to notice those muscles. Feel where they fire up. If you're feeling it today, go ahead and try and lift off those feet. Or maybe for today, you just try one. Or maybe for today, 2 is great. Take one more breath here. And then we're going to slowly lower ourselves down to the mat. So if you can go down straight, nice and strong, using those core muscles, great. If you need to use the help of your arms, use an elbow. Roll to your side slightly and get yourself down to the mat. And just take a big breath in here and exhale. And then feel yourself flatten out like a pancake. We're going to lift our knees up, so plant our feet on our mat. Let's bring our hands pointed up towards the ceiling. Take a breath in, reach through those fingertips. And as you exhale, we're going to drop our hands to the right and our knees to the left. And as you inhale, sweep everything up tall. And as you exhale, come down the other side. Getting a gentle twist. And inhale, up to the center. And as you exhale, opposite side. And inhale. And exhale. And then we'll float ourselves back up to center. Bring those hands down, stretch out your legs. And last little exercise we're gonna do is just bring in your right knee into your body. You can either grab behind your thigh, behind your leg, or if it works to get your fingers together behind your knee there on your shin. Let's take your breath in. And as we exhale, let's squeeze the knee slightly into the body, just outside of the rib cage. Okay, so just coming out to the outside, squeezing that into the upper body as much as we can. Trying to still lengthen down with the tailbone along your mat, so not letting our hips come up too much. You want to still stay lengthened, as well as with your neck. So really think about lengthening your neck along your spine, even slightly bringing your chin into your chest. Just take your breath here and let it go. Really squeeze in as much as you can, feels comfortable. And then we'll release the leg down. And now left side. So left leg up, either grab hold behind the leg or in front of the shin. Take a breath. And as you exhale, squeeze in and out. Just that slightly out to get around the ribs, and then squeeze it in. Trying to keep your shoulders close to the mat, not letting them come up too much. Trying to keep them relaxed. Slight chin into the chest, and then lengthen the tailbone long. Take an inhale, feel that inhale, and then let it go. One more breath. And then let that leg come down to meet the other. And now, we made it to Shavasana, the best part. So just let your legs be soft. Flop those feet out if that feels good for you. Let your hands come facing up. Come away from your body a bit. Feel that space. Fill up your lungs. And as you exhale, feel yourself melt into the mat. Just take a few gentle breaths here. Shavasana is that time where we want to take what we worked on, take the asanas, the postures, and just let it all settle in. And appreciate what we did. And allow our mind to settle. Just focusing on our breath. And just noticing what we feel in our body now that we're complete with this yoga session. Trying to soften our muscles. Notice how our hips feel. Just try and let any tightness go. Notice how our back feels, how our chest feels. And then let that tightness go. And then notice how our eyes and our forehead feel. And just try and be soft. Just a few more quiet breaths. slowly, we want to now make our way up to seated. So feel free to roll over onto one side. And with the help of your hands, push yourself all the way up. And choose that comfortable seated position that works for you, whether you're using a bolster or nothing at all. Place your hands on your knees. Let's breathe in and out. Inhale. Feel your body expand and fill up with all that good breath. And with an open mouth, let it go. Inhale. And exhale. And one more big breath, filling up with all that lightness, all that goodness. And with an open mouth, let anything go that might be holding you back. Thank you for doing this yoga practice with me today. I hope that it brings you a bit more confidence moving forward with your yoga practice, and that I'll see you back here on the mat. Peace.